Sorry, I'm just waiting to see if we are going live. Okay, we are live now. It
Oh,
appears that we're alive. Yeah. Well, again, let me do I'll do the announcement here. So this is Paranormal Pulse, and this is Cordell. This is our Paranormal Pulse discussion, and I'm with Dave from Scotland. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good, Cordell. We're up here. Still haven't found a Loch Ness monster, but it isn't through lack of trying.
Well, good. Also, just a quick announcement. Carrie's not feeling well, and she will definitely be on. I'm hopefully next Sunday. I just want to wish Carrie the best and get her a speedy recovery and where she's starting to feel better. And just my hats off to her. And she will be missed today.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And, there'll be broadcasts. It'll probably be just me and Carrie from time to time, and where you won't be able to make it. So, but Carrie's with us. And if she's up to it, she can always join. And I'd be more than happy to have her surprise us and jump in. Um, so anyway, just thoughts out to Carrie, just get better. And anyway, hi Lisa.
Hey,
Uh,
Lisa.
how you doing? I like your your dogs in the rainbow there. Um, anyway, so today's show is about photos and black shadows and apparitions and particles and dust or ghosts, maybe. Right, Dave?
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a bunch of photos we're going to show, and a large number of them are, well, a good portion of them are pulse related photos that we took as a under the pulse hat, and then some things, Dave, were prior to you joining Pulse, and a couple are. Then we have some more personal photos that stuff appeared in, and we also have a couple photos, Dave, that were sent to us that we wanted to show in contrast and give our opinion. Um, and so, Dave, this is my take on photos. I love a good photo, Dave. Love a good paranormal photo. The problem with photos that I have is, and I'll just throw out a number here. It just shows 400 milliseconds of time. It doesn't show what happened before, doesn't show what happened afterwards. And therein lies why photos are one of the most difficult things to evaluate, because your data slice is so minute, so small, that it's really hard to get a good feel and to actually analyze it in too much depth. What's your opinion, Dave?
Yeah, you know what? I think I've only ever seen one photograph where I thought, you know what, that is so weird that it looks real, and it was a guy taking a photograph, and there's a woman in one of the like bottom corners, like reaching, and it's completely nothing to do with the context. And you see her face, and I mean, if somebody was going to doctor a photograph, the doctor it to be more obvious. I would have thought, like a little girl with black hair draped over her face, uh,
Um,
things like that. But yeah, it's so photographs. It is. It's a snapshot in time, and photographs are very easily doctored. That's the problem.
yeah, and they've been faked for since the 1800s, since photography was in its infancy. Um, there was the concept in the Victorian times of spiritual. Um, uh, yeah, well, Carrie just messaged me. Go ahead and take the concept of photographs and why they're so tough and why they're so easily doctored, Dave. And I'm going to get back to Carrie here.
Photographs. I mean, you can. There are a lot of different packages now where not only can they be staged in that moment from any willing participants, but they can also be doctored through any package. I mean, we do have some software that we use to analyze them, and we have done some analysis. Where you can get down to that kind of pixel level and see changes, etc. But yeah, photographs, unless you are there taking the photograph, and some of these which we have taken ourselves, then we can hand on heart. I mean, it's up to the viewers to believe us, but hand on heart, we didn't doctor these in any way whatsoever.
Looks like Carrie's gonna try to join us.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, so that's really good news, and, so hopefully Carrie will join us here in a second. Yeah, photographs are one of the oldest things in the paranormal. Obviously, you have, disembodied voices and visual, as apparitions and stuff, and really photographs potentially could have been one of the first media or mediums that produced what people claim to be external data showing apparitions and spirits and stuff. Um, uh, uh, I'm trying to get Carrie on here. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, when you get back to the sense room phenomenon you mentioned, if you've got an abundance of cotton wool hanging out your ears and nose and throat,
Yeah.
little face stuck on the end of it. Obviously, technology has moved.
Yeah.
It's the same concept, though. Do you ever
Yeah.
you ever
What?
seen that photograph with that? It's like a wolf's or dog's head behind that guy's shoulder. It's
The
doing.
wolf?
It's like a wolf or a dog's head. It just looks creepy.
I don't think I've seen that
All
one.
right, have you not? I'll dig it out and send you it.
Well, I've seen a lot that are similar to that. Let's see if Carrie can get on. Hold on a second. Um, we have a bunch. We'll give Carrie a couple more minutes here and before we get started with the photos. Um, so the first photos we're going to show as soon as Carrie gets here is I don't know if you want to name the place, but it's in Scotland. You can, well, or we can just call it the Hunting Lodge.
Yeah, it's a lodge up in northwest Scotland, which we investigated for 2 years. We had the keys. The company I worked for owned it, and um, we were allowed to go there anytime we wanted, which was
Oh,
handy.
okay, good.
Yeah, it had really old building, really old rooms. Used to be a hotel. We investigated that top and bottom. A lot of equipment was needed for it, but yeah, we we must have been there about 2 years. And this was a photograph. I don't know if you're going to put it up there, but this was a photograph we were taking as we were leaving.
I'm sorry, I'm typing. Keep going, Dave.
Oh,
Yeah, you got to cover, man.
yeah, no. Hey, it's so the photograph you're going to see then is we used to have a base camp in one of the rooms, and in that room in particular, as we were leaving, I'm not saying it's a figure at the window, but it does look like that if you kind of if you think of it in that way, it could absolutely be kind of like a pareidolia effect. It could be frost on the window forming the shape, could be anything. But I just thought it was an interesting one to start with. If
Well,
you
hopefully,
want to put it up.
let me get that one geared up, and we'll see if Carrie can get in. I'm just, I don't want to start until Carrie, if she's going to get in. I want to hold off till she gets in. Anyway, I got the picture all queued up. We'll give her another minute here and see if she can get in. Um, yeah, and it's interesting. We've taken a lot of photographs over the years um, that are strange in the fact that you don't necessarily see anything prior to the photograph. And then when you look at the photograph, there's this object, there's this thing. And and this, I've said this many times, Dave, that one of the frustrating things about photos or even video is that you as an investigator will see something, you'll take a photo of it or you'll take a video of it, and when you look back at the video or photo, it doesn't look at all like what your mind remembers
Yeah,
seeing.
yeah,
And I've seen a lot of videos where somebody goes, "Oh, I just saw this apparition go down the hallway," and then all the camera shows is this white misty um something that really doesn't look like much. um and it doesn't look at all, because the investigator swears they saw, they describe a full apparition or what the outline of a person, or is just this misty thing. And the same with photos, right? I mean, but the thing about photos, I'd say 9 out of 10 photos I've taken that show something, I never saw it prior to the photo, I never saw it
yeah.
right after the photo. What do you think that element is?
I don't know. I mean, we take photographs as we are going in and as we are coming out. And the photograph at that hunting lodge was purely just
What?
one of the. Hey, Carrie, was purely one of the
Hey,
photos as we were.
Carrie's here. Carrie's here.
Hey, Carrie, you all right?
Yeah,
How's it going?
okay, I'm on closed curtains, so go ahead and talk.
Okay. So Carrie did make it. She's sounds like she's doing better than she has been, so that's good. So go ahead with what you're saying, Dave.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So as we enter location, we take a lot of photographs, and as we leave, we take a lot of photographs. And this was just one of the ones leaving. There wasn't any reason to take it. Distance could be a thing, flash could be an issue, in these, but yeah, it was just we didn't take this for any reason other than just to document, as we used to do for every investigation.
Okay. Hey, Carrie, how you doing? You're looking
Hanging in
good.
there.
Yeah, you're looking good. I know it's been a rough few days for you. Um, and I think your voice might be a little sore there, but so Carrie, we're doing photographs, and a lot of these are false photos and stuff. So we had the introduction to the photo. So I'm going to show the first one, and we're calling this location, for privacy's sake, the hunting lodge over in Scotland. And let me bring it up, and we'll get right into the photos.
Getting some weird feedback.
I'm not hearing any feedback.
No, I am.
Oh, you are through your head. I'm hearing some feedback now.
I'm not hearing any.
Okay. I'm going to mute Carrie just for a second as she does all that. So here's the first photo, and I'm not going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in here in a second. Um, and this is a perfect example, guys, of why photos are so tough to evaluate. And I'm going to go full screen with it now. And I'm going to zoom in because now, before I zoom in though, you guys, do you see anything unusual? This is a dark photo. And Dave, did you take this photo?
Yeah, I took a photograph. Yeah.
So, whoa, what was that? Oh,
Sorry.
I'm going to mute Carrie for a second. We're getting a lot of feedback there. So this is a perfect example of why photos are tough, I think. And no offense, Dave, I know you took the photo because it's dark. It shows reflections in the windows, and it shows what it almost looks like if you just look at it casually. It looks like there's lighting um, in the building, right, Dave?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
So go
just
ahead.
for the record, there's no way that I'm saying this photograph shows anything paranormal. We kept it as an interesting kind of training photograph. So just to educate new investigators on some of the things to watch out for.
Well, let me zoom in. It gets blurry pixelization. So this, do you see my mouse?
Yeah, I'm getting some weird feedback.
Yeah, so am I. Um, so you see and like I said, there's pixelization. So this figure up in the window on the left hand side right here, it does look like it honestly does look like a person, right? When you zoom in.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It just looks like a person, which is why I thought it was an interesting photograph. I'm not saying it is at all. The that place had a hell of a lot of activity. But that was our base camp area initially. And we obviously left the base camp and we took a photograph as we were leaving and kind of seen that. Didn't say that at the time, obviously, but because it was really pitch black. There's no lighting up there whatsoever.
So
So
So, Carrie, what's your opinion of this photo?
Um, I think your imagination can go with it. I think it looks like it could be someone standing there, but it also doesn't seem to give me enough information for me to think that somebody's standing
Well, yeah, and this I think is one of the perfect examples of this could be pareidolia, reflections in the window, but it does look like definitely looks like a person, guys, if you just look at it. But let me okay, here it is. You see the new photo. This is lightened up. And yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Um,
it's really loud.
oh,
there.
so
That's true. Let me close mine now.
good. What? Don't close it out. Do you got any headphones? If she's got headphones, that'll probably do it. Yeah. Do
No,
you
I'm
have
just waiting on you guys.
the what?
I was just waiting on you guys.
Oh, so yeah, this one I definitely, yeah, it's still getting a lot of feedback. Do you have any headphones, Carrie?
It's not going for me.
Yeah, because when I mute you, the echo goes away. I can hear my voice and Dave's voice through your.
I just hear you and Dave. I don't have anything else. You still hear it?
Hello, hello. No,
Hello?
Dave. Yeah, it's still there. Do you have any headphones?
No, it's no different than any other time.
Huh? Yeah, because we're getting a lot of feedback. Oh, she just dropped out. I don't know why she dropped out. Headphones will probably solve it. Um, so anyway, let me zoom in. I lightened this photo up. And obviously a lot of pixelization, as you can see. Let me move this back. So it doesn't really help too much to lighten it up. Now, Dave, here's the other problem is that is as you can see, what other windows can you see stuff in? Or
Yeah,
can your
no,
mind?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, your mind can play tricks. You could see that top left one, the two that are together. You could see, well, is somebody standing in there? Is somebody standing there? Absolutely. And this is why we kept it for a training means, just to show how your mind can play tricks, and because you are biased because you want to see things anyway, then you pick up images where there's none, and that's why I'm not saying at all that this is paranormal. But it is an interesting photograph, when you think of the things that happened to us in there. I think it is interesting.
Yeah, this one, I think it's a good example because, and the reality is, and you've already summed it up, Dave, we can never call this paranormal.
No,
At best is use it for training. We get sent photos like this all the time when there's a window involved, glass, and that's the problem. There's so the best we could do, Dave, and I is maybe say um, unknown. What's your opinion?
I would even go as far to say that it's just the trick of the light. It's pitch dark up there, absolutely pitch dark. With a flash could reflect off different things. We took the same photograph every time we left, and this was the only one ever that had anything in that, like, kind of, which could be perceived as something odd in that window. But just a collection of images. What's
Yeah, and you can see that if you let your mind wander on that it definitely, because you can kind of make out a head, shoulders, what could be perceived as arms, but the problem is there almost appears to be like right here there could be something. um yeah, I don't know. So does this change your mind on any of these views, Dave?
No, no. Hey, I've never really thought this was paranormal at all, Cordell. Uh, like I said, we just kept it. I think I even uploaded it into our training section, just to show that you've got to be careful when your mind plays tricks. But it is an interesting one to show.
I asked Carrie to rejoin, by the way. um Hopefully she will. um yeah, this one, and like I think you summed it up, Dave, we keep this to show as training. You can see how your mind does play tricks on this. So how old is this building, Dave?
Oh, I don't know. What, the 1800s, something like that. If you can imagine, that's the width of it, and then it's just twice as long.
Isn't this building like 1838 or something?
Possibly. I think yeah, possibly. If you look on the right hand side there, that window, that room there used to be our base camp later, and there was a woman. We actually had knocking on that window.
This one?
No, no, the one above it.
Oh,
Uh,
this one.
yeah, there was someone knocking on the window one night.
Oh,
Um, Obviously, it's quite high up. But we were all based in there, and then there was three loud knocks on the window. Obviously, last thing you'd expect there. And then one of the investigators heard a girl in the corridor saying hello. Now it's pitch black in there, So yeah, we've got a lot of stories from that place. A lot of investigations.
cool. All right. Well, let me.
If it's any consolation, all of the EVPs and voices we heard were Scottish. So if it
Oh, they
is,
were.
yeah, yeah,
They weren't American,
no.
because we do know that all spirits do speak English fluently, right?
Well,
Like,
this is broad Scottish. So So they must keep their accent with them when they leave, you know.
Well, let me ask you one quick question. Did you ever determine the age of the dialect? Because the dialect, I'm assuming,
No.
changed over time.
Yeah, no, I don't have that much knowledge of the kind of Gaelic or Scottish language to. Yeah, we never had any. We never had any Gaelic. It was kind of Scottish. Well, at least we don't think we had any Gaelic. I mean, it's tough to understand anyway. I had a lot of EVPs. That was back in 2000 and between 2000 and 2008 and 2010. I think we investigated for 2 years. I was there by myself one night when I had something struck on my face, which was pretty horrifying.
You weren't so there was no pleasure involved is what I take it you're saying there.
Absolutely far from it.
Okay. Uh, I'm texting Carrie again here.
Let's load the next one up.
I am. And this is again something you're going to have to describe and explain. So here we go. And now this sequence you sent them. This is from your Paranormal Pulse UK, I believe. So let me.
This is just a bit different. One of the investigators, Mark, his wife took the photograph, and there's just some odd pictures. As you can see, this is a location which we'll not go into, but if you can see, like kind of center left, there's like a kind of a no, say Scotland always rains.
Right here. Right
That's
here.
but yeah, a bit of a blur there. Which is these are ones we were sent. There's a bit of a blur there. I think the next one.
Well, let me ask you real quick. Do you think this is something on the lens?
Possibly. I know at the time, the investigator, the hairs on the back of his neck went up. He remembers that clearly. So he asked his wife to take a photograph because he felt pretty weird in there. But if you, yeah, I mean that could be something on the lens, But he wasn't saying they were paranormal at all either. It was just some odd anomalies that he wanted to kind of record, you know. And I
All
think
right, let me
the
move
next
on
one's
to
pretty similar. Yeah, the next one's pretty. It's like a bit of a blur there.
now. Were these taken in sequence?
Yeah, in quick sequence. It just moved.
So if I were to look at these and I knew they were taken in sequence, one of my first thoughts, Dave, is okay, this blur was against this. The investigators walking down this garbage filled hall, and the blur moved to the right side. And let me zoom in. And I think that's an interesting photo, actually.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, but we aren't saying it's paranormal. Hey,
Well,
Bob.
what do you? Oh, is Bob on? Oh, hey, Bob.
Yeah, Bob. We're discussing photographs.
Yeah, potentially paranormal photographs. And then this one's
Yeah,
interesting because, again, if you take it in sequence, it would potentially mean that whatever this blurry object was, it moved from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And this seems to be a slightly different shape. And this one, I find this actual image I find more interesting than the first. What do you think, Dave?
yeah. We like I said, we weren't saying it was paranormal at all. It was just interesting, like an interesting anomaly. There wasn't anything on the lens because the photographs prior and after were fine. It was just these few in quick succession, and the only way these were taken was because he had specifically stated that he wanted them to be taken because he did feel the hairs on the back of his neck went up.
Interesting. Let me zoom back out to give, and I do wanna just give a reference, so let me do this, see? So here's this one with this blur, and then the next sequence of photos is the investigator now has moved down past the camera, and there's that. Now let's look at this one.
Yeah, I mean that could be insect related or anything, but once again, I mean he sent that as just being an interesting part of that sequence. You know,
So it's roughly the same sequence. Now, my understanding is it was fairly cold.
oh,
Is that
it's
true?
Scotland. Scotland, it's always cold.
It's always cold. So, okay,
Looks like a flying peanut. And you can
well,
see, and you can see the camera there on the left. There was nothing picked up in that camera. So
which could be that this means that this is close to the lens if this other camera.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I'm
yeah,
just throwing that out. I mean, it might not mean that, but that's what it could be. And
absolutely. Yeah.
and those in the chat, yeah, what's your guys' opinion of this? It's kinda strange. Now, before I go forward here, so I took this photo this morning. I think it was this morning, or maybe I did this when you first sent it to me. I can't remember now. And so I did apply some filters to it. So here it is, with a filter.
See a peanut. Yeah,
It almost looks like one of those packing peanuts.
yeah.
And could this be close to the camera and nothing paranormal? Most definitely. Let me go. I think I have another filter applied. Yeah, right here. So let's stay on this one for a second. So this is a filter I applied a while back. Let me zoom out. So again,
Is that a slight shadow on the wall there?
I know right here.
Yeah.
Let me zoom out and see what that looks like. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It looks like a shadow.
Or like it's an interference between something passing. I mean, it could be an insect, you know. There's plenty of peanut-shaped insects up here.
Oh, I think is that an orb, Dave? Because it's on all the manipulated videos here. So
Yeah, I've got no idea. No, we just thought that was a bit of an interesting one, Coriel, that's all. Not as clear cut as any paranormal photo, but just a bit of an odd anomaly,
well, it is interesting, but
easily explained.
again, well, even and I guess this is the thing I wanted to emphasize is even if I thought this was 100% paranormal in all, I mean, I can't label this as paranormal. I can the best I could do, Dave, is say it's an unknown. Most likely, it could be really close to the lens and it's some type of dust or debris. I mean, there's obviously stuff constantly falling down from the walls and ceiling. Doesn't even look like half the building has a ceiling. Um, so, uh, and so what's your evaluation of this?
Yeah, I mean, the building's all being rebuilt anyway, but or it is in the process of being rebuilt. But yeah, I mean that to me, when I looked at that, could it be moisture on the lens? You know, it is Scotland, but I thought it was interesting that the kind of blurred moving, when two successive shots. But yeah, this one to me, I mean, you've seen lots of things like this when insects get close up to the screen, they do take on weird shapes and forms. Um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, this is just a kind of an interesting photograph. Huh?
Yeah, no, and this is the type of stuff that we see a lot of.
Yeah,
And again, it's really hard to analyze something like this because, again, Dave, like we talked at the beginning, you have this little slice of time average camera, probably we'll just say the average, the speed is 400 millisecond. So you have this little data slice, and no matter how much you want something to be paranormal, and let's say this legitimately is paranormal, how would you prove that this is paranormal with this amount of data?
I mean, if it is paranormal, what the heck is it? A phantom peanut? You know, it's I think when we think of paranormal, we think of like a little girl with long black hair with her face gliding down the corridor. We don't think of a peanut. So yeah. I mean, but hey, I suppose if you get back to the seance rooms of the 1800s, that could be ectoplasm, out of somebody's nose.
Well, yeah, I guess we could go down that road, huh? I mean, so I
Yeah,
don't
that's
even
Crowley's
wanna go.
house.
And it's an interesting shape because people go, "Well, that doesn't look like dust. It's not round. It's not." So, but again, you're in a building that everything's falling apart. Half of the building had no ceiling. You had stuff randomly falling to the
Yeah, it could be
floor.
plaster, it could be anything. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, because the floor literally had, it looked like at least 3 or 4 inches of debris on it. So, and yeah, so the point is, I don't think you could ever prove that this wasn't something natural that fell really close to the lens, and it was really small, that maybe the other camera, because it wasn't close to the video camera lens, it never picked it up. That's the
yeah,
big red flag for me, Dave, on this one is, you saw the video camera in the field of view, it should have picked it up if it was something of substance or fairly large. But since only the still photo picked it up, what that's the red flag, is the video camera, and it says, well, it wasn't close enough to the lens, which means it's really, really small. Now I could be totally wrong on that. Let's see. Let me go to the chat here. Is that a go?
yeah. It's Crowley's house.
Is that what he's referring to?
Yeah, but yeah, but and just the investigator, he sent them just purely because he thought they were just interesting and didn't say they were paranormal whatsoever.
While you're talking, Dave, I'm going to bring up another photo. Now, this photo I'm going to bring up, it's actually something more personal to you. Um, and uh, and I want to bring this up just to demonstrate something. And I hopefully we didn't talk in advance about this, so hopefully you're okay. If you're not okay talking about it, let me know. And
There's a picture of Boba.
no, no, no.
Right.
It's a picture of a place you used to live, and it's nothing that I it's nothing in the photo that's paranormal per se. It's just the front of this house. Nothing really paranormal. But I think this is an interesting aspect about photos that I wanted to talk about. Are you okay about talking about it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, no, I just, and like I said, it's not paranormal.
Ah,
But I think, let me just show. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, there's literally on the surface nothing paranormal, or it could be construed as paranormal. But but I think this is a good illustration of why photos. You need to take photos on investigations. You need to document everything you can. Photos are a great way to document moments in time on an investigation. So the backstory of this photo is, when you arrived here, there was no lights on, and the lights came on, right?
yeah. So basically, what happened was this was the last day when I was moving out of the property. The landlord had come. This was in Park City in Utah. The landlord had come for his walk around, and when I came into the building with my son, the fire was on full blast, and the house was so hot. So I thought the landlord had arrived for to put the fire on, for the kind of, I don't know, because the house was going to be empty, maybe to dry it, or I don't know. And so I turned the fire off because it was just so hot. And when the landlord arrived about an hour later, I said, "Listen, I've turned the fire off." And he said, "Well, I've just arrived. I've come from California." He said, "This is the first time I've set foot in the house." So it's like, "Oh, right." And what happened was he left, and I had to put the keys. I gave him the keys, and I had to come out, I think, through the garage. So I went around as a last check and made sure all the lights were off. And then when I came out, those lights came on. So I thought, "Oh, screw this." So I took a photograph and just left.
Well, yeah, and like I said, Dave, this in of itself doesn't really in one way, it might show
It doesn't.
something. Well,
Yeah,
but
it just.
in one way, it might show paranormal because these lights came on, and but at the same time, the photo itself doesn't
Yeah.
really show anything.
Yeah, and I only took it as a kind of a reference point from the last picture we took. There was a lot of things happened in that house, as you're aware.
Well, and Dave, I do need to translate for the audience is that
Right.
when Dave said fire, he means furnace. Um, he said the fire was on. That's the heating system.
No,
That's for the Americans. Go ahead.
the gas fire, the big gas fire,
Yeah.
the big gas fire, which is like in the living room area.
Oh, this was actually the
Yeah, it was on full.
fireplace. The
Yeah, sorry, the
fireplace.
fireplace. It was a gas fire in the fireplace, we'll say, and that
Okay.
was on all bars. That was on full. So something had turned that on, and
Okay.
it
Well, I tried to translate. So
that's
anyway.
fine. That's fine. Listen,
But I just wanted to show that because
fireplace.
you
Yeah.
did the correct thing as an investigator. You documented what occurred, but the picture itself just is a reference. It becomes a reference point, right? It doesn't actually claim to be paranormal, even though potentially something turned the lights on, which could be paranormal. And you took a photo of that, but it really isn't paranormal, the photo itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I took it because the lights had just come on, and I thought, "Oh well, I'll take a photograph and then I'll get out of there."
Um, let me see. Let's bring up another one here. I got to get set up here, guys. Hold on, Dave. Um, moving through. Okay, this one. Okay. Oh, God, you would hate to do this, but we got to do it. Oh, I hate this. Okay. This is going to be a photo that has nothing to do with us. This one made the rounds on the internet for a while. Dave sent it to me this morning so we can talk about it. Um, all right, let's bring it up. And I know the people listening are just in anticipation of what this is.
So am I.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I was trying to interpret fire to, uh, and I said furnace, and it was actually the fireplace. And then Bob, what did Bob say? Lights used to come on all the time. Well, our see, I'm sorry, I paused because I just noticed Bob's picture.
Oh,
Um,
that's for a ghost mobile. Yeah,
is that what that is?
yeah, that's an ambulance. That's his ambulance.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was hoping that wasn't his house that he's living in now, the mobile house. But okay, here's the photo. Dave, I'm gonna let you take this
Well,
away.
come on, let's show it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, this one was sent to my phone from a group who, yeah. So as you can see, and this is a well-known picture from the internet. Yeah, it's but it was actually sent as if it was that's from a group saying that they had had it sent to them. It's a caravan. You can see a dog, and you can see this someone superimposed a little girl's ghostly image on that photograph. Yeah, that I don't believe this photograph at all, but we just thought it would be interesting to show what kind of trickery people can get up to.
Well, yeah, this is a total fake. And actually, I forgot where I can't remember this one, Dave. This was quite a while ago, and
Yeah,
maybe you remember. This was either one of those phone apps or somebody superimposed another picture, which people discovered and said, "Oh, here's the girl." It is a picture of a little girl.
the
Um,
backstory, Cordell, was that someone heard someone's dog kind of heard something, and they decided to take a photograph a random photograph into the darkness.
well, here's the thing, and I've heard people say, going, "Well, look at the dog. The dog's looking right at it, right?" Well, they had this photograph. They purposely superimposed this image in there where the dog was looking. Um, I just wanted to mention that. It wasn't that the dog how the dog's reacting and looking doesn't prove this little girl apparition. It just means they took advantage of the dog's reaction to something in the darkness, superimposed that directly in the line of sight of the dog. That's what that means. So, anyway, that's my, and we wanted to show a couple of these just in contrast, because this isn't subtle, is it, Dave?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's not subtle at all. And yeah, this made the rounds on the internet, and I don't even know how old this is. I think it's fairly old. So I had to show that. And me and Dave decided that we would show a couple of these just in contrast.
Yeah.
So I think we got another one coming up too. Um, yeah, we do have another one. So prepare yourself. Here we go. And Dave's going to talk about this one too. Here we go. There you go.
So this one was sent to us. I was part of a group, the Northumbrian Cycle Research Group, and this was sent to us, as you can see, many years ago. And the photograph was titled "The Drowned Boy" because the place was haunted by by the ghost of a child who dripped wet all the time. And the family sent us this thinking, is this something strange, And that's the backstory to that.
So if this is real, let's just say that this is something paranormal. So I have two questions for you. I want you to talk about this in aspects of, if it's real, what do you think it is? If it's not real, what could this actually be a picture of? So take it in any order you want, Dave. What's your opinion on those two questions?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, like when you stack photographs together, and you like some of them have like sticky backs for to stick up on a wall or something, and you kind of pull a bit of the photo away from the previous one. It could be that. It could just be an anomaly. It looks like a bit of lint or something like that. I'm not sure what it looks like, to be honest. It could be a damaged photograph and they've just scanned it back in. I honestly don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it. Interesting mind. I mean, but I just don't know what that could be. But if
So you haven't said ectoplasm yet, Dave.
no, I haven't said ectoplasm yet because that's. I think that only comes out of people's noses, doesn't it? In those photographs,
Well, mouths, ears,
mouths, ears, yeah.
orifices. We'll just say it comes out of people's orifices. Or yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. So yeah,
Um,
It's an interesting photograph, but it doesn't reflect anything paranormal. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what it is. It could be a piece of lint or carpet that's really close to the lens. It's coming off as I mean, it does look interesting, has an interesting structures, little strands. It almost looks like carpet to me because, if you looked under the microscope to I mean, if this is really next to the lens, I mean, right on, I'm talking literally like 3/10 of an inch from the lens. It could be something like carpet because you got the strands coming out, different little, hair yeah, material. Anyway, but I have no idea. I don't it doesn't look like it's anything on the wall or anything. But again, how would you ever prove this is paranormal? If you truly believe it's
Yeah,
paranormal, how would you go about proving it?
yeah. I mean, you couldn't. I think really, unless you take the photograph yourself, um, and you are like 100% sure, then. But when you receive them, there could be any motive behind anyone. This was just a family who were pretty scared, actually. Excuse me, who were pretty scared actually because of the apparition that had been seen of this drowned boy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, is this a story over in England then? UK?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's in
Okay,
the northeast of England.
gotcha. Okay, now, right when you thought we would go back to some of our photographs, no, we are not. We have one more.
All right.
And this is another one that was sent to Dave, who sent it to me. I did some looking at it and analysis. I'm not going to say what my opinion is or what I thought was done, but we'll. You ready? We'll let Dave talk on this one.
Always ready, Cordell.
There you go. And I think you remember what this one is. I'm going to go full screen with it. So, and I'm going to zoom in. So, now before I let Dave talk on this, so this is in Utah. Here's a road down here. You can see there's snow. It's a field, some small mountain range in the background. And here's the anomaly. You have and the key here, I think it's appears to be early morning, is what it looks like to me because the sun seems to be rising in the east. If I'm correct, Dave, this is pointed to the west, is what this looks like. And so so it
Yeah.
would have to be early morning. Now, the key here is it's snow. It's obviously cold. It's wintertime. So let me zoom in, be a little pixelated. So, okay, there she is. Um, what give us the background story of this, Dave.
Yeah. So I used to work in that area, and one of the employees was I think he was coming to work one morning, and he saw this, and he decided to take a photograph. I mean, as you know, these things don't normally just sit and wait for a photograph to be taken, but he decided to take this photograph, and it kind of did the rounds at work, and then found it came to me for attention. Um, what could this be? That's the
Okay.
backstory. So the individual who said he claimed he took this direct kind of passed this on to my colleague, who then passed it on to me.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. This appear reports to show. I mean, it to me, it looks like a woman in like a nightgown or a white dress sitting on a chair or something. I mean, it appears to be a chair.
Something,
W-
yeah.
what's your opinion of this? Is this so? Do you think? Because the first thing that comes to my mind, Dave, is this is like one of those urban legends. Here's a road, the girl in white, and somebody sees her. Now I find it interesting because she seems to have her hands folded and she appears to be sitting in a chair in the middle of a snowy field. So what's your thoughts on this? And
You know
Dave,
what?
you got to cover for a minute because I got to go take some Excedrin. I have a slight headache. So take it away. I'll be right back.
Yeah, not a problem. But yeah, so in terms of the photograph, it's when people take photographs of just blank fields, you could ask the question, what's the motive, you know? However, the individual did claim that he saw this lady sitting in the field and thought it was odd, that and therefore took a photograph, parked the car, took a photograph from the road. Um, you know, it to me it could well be doctored, but it's just an interesting thing to put in a photograph, just a random picture of someone seated. Um, so I think so from my perspective, I just thought it was doctored, because I was at the plant, and the plant sits behind us, as you can probably see by the lights. At the plant, there was a spate of some occurrences, and this happened at that time. So they think it was just possibly an individual trying to fake it, just to kind of to support what was currently happening at the plant. But it just seems odd, if you are going to fake something, do you have somebody standing in there? Do you have a little girl with black hair over her face, that kind of thing, which is, but it's just an interesting thing to stick in a photograph. And that's pretty much it. Now, we did do a series of different negatives. I don't know, Cordell, if you're back. And if not, I'll just talk for a little bit more. I don't know, Bob, what's your thoughts on this? And the Bob's in the audience. Or Lisa? You think it looks weird? Is it the kind of thing which you would...
I'm back.
Yeah, good. And I was just asking Bob or Lisa if, is this the kind of thing... It just seems a bit too odd, to kind of... If you were going to fake it, would you put something else in there? But at the time, it was absolutely... We all thought it was fake. And Lisa said the same. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, let me zoom out. And it was obviously, I think it was taken with a phone, by the way. It appears to have been taken by a phone.
Yeah, I think, Lisa, why that would that be a chair? I mean, yeah, that's a good point. About unless there was a house around it at some stage or something. I don't know. Yeah, a barn.
Oops.
But yeah, we think.
Let's see. I'm just trying to show some of the chats. So the consensus that it's fake. I'm really leery of this.
Yeah.
I did not a lot of analysis. I mean, the data from the photograph, it was taken with a phone, I believe, if I remember correctly. And there seemed to be some artifacts around the girl that shouldn't be there, and that's all I'll say. Because I don't want to accuse somebody unless I have definite information, and I didn't spend enough time on this to evaluating whether I can 100% say it's fake, but it appears to have some artifacts in the photo that I question. Now, because when we get a photo like this, I think this is another part of the conversation, and we get photos sent to us, and yes, please send us your photos, and we'll try to evaluate them and give our opinion. But remember, a photo is just that, a photo. And even if our opinion is that it's real, we can't really show data other than there's no artifacts, doesn't seem to be manipulated like with Adobe products or any type of photo program or anything. Even if we were to say that, it's still, I mean, that's the best we can do, right? And go, yeah, we think this is legit, doesn't seem to be manipulated. And then if we say, well, it's been manipulated, then we tick everybody off and we say, well, that's a reflection in the glass. and the glass is uneven and it's dirty, and so it's like the handprint that shows up on a mirror or something. Well, take some Windex, clean the mirror, take the photo again, see if you see the handprint, things like that. But people want it to be real. But the reality, Dave, even if me and you thought, for example, let's take this photo, that if we thought it was real, it's just our opinion. I mean, and the person that sent it wants us to say that it's real, and if we don't, then we disappoint everybody and they get ticked off and everything. But and even if we say it's real, how can we ever prove it? How would
Yeah,
you prove this is real?
yeah. I mean, just by doing the analysis we did on that, and finding some strange edges to that girl. Yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, that's again the difficulty of photos. Photos, I'm fascinated with them. I love photos, but at the end of the day, how do you actually prove a photo is 100% real? Um, and this is the problem also with digital photography that I want to mention right now, guys, is that digital, with the advent of digital photography, a 10-year-old can fake photos now, and you can manipulate because they're all digitized. It's so simple to manipulate photos, and in a way I miss the old days with negatives, because those were a lot tougher to fake. You had double exposure, then you could also take the negative, superimpose, and you could do tricks with other negatives to superimpose and create a photo that looks, so there's multiple ways you could have with the old photography and film. um, and it takes more work, and a 10-year-old isn't going to necessarily be able to fake the old film photography, film rolls, but they were faked, but not as easily as digital. And in the world of digital, Dave, how do we trust any photo in the world of digital photography?
I think you take them yourself. Huh? But even then, I mean, it could be a glitch, it could be anything. But I think photographs we take ourselves, um, yeah, I mean, can you trust anything given to you? Video, photograph, unless of course you did, unless of course you implicitly trust the individual. You know, uh,
Oh, that's interesting. You thought she was holding a sickle. Um, well, yeah, and zooming in, to me, it looks like she's sitting, is what it looks
yeah.
like, guys.
But I
Yeah.
think on any investigation, and this is for any of the viewers or people who may watch this or who may not, you know, photographs are free, storage is free. Just take as many as you can in all random directions throughout the investigation, But obviously, just watch further investigators, watch the flash, but try to coordinate to get a good record of that investigation. I mean, we take many photographs as well as audio and video footage of any investigation. And sometimes you get the odd anomaly, which you think is interesting.
Okay, so moving on. This is a photo I believe you took, Dave, on an investigation, and I believe it was, and you'll have to correct me, over in the UK.
All right, let's have a
And
look. Oh,
I believe, I could be wrong on this, but here we go.
oh yeah, that building's no longer there. That was myself and Lisa were on an investigation. Um,
What do you mean it's no longer there? This beautiful staircase is no longer there?
yeah, the whole building got bulldozed down. Um, yeah,
Uh,
it was like a mini farmer's mansion kind of thing. Um,
that's horrible.
Woodlawn Grange it was called, yeah, and we were. Can you see that? If you see the red door, we were actually through there into the kitchen area, and up here you've got a whole new hallway on the other side. It's quite large, this place. and that's when we heard something coming down the stairs and try the door. And we were on the other side of the door, which had the key in it, because we were making lots of noise. And I opened the door and there was no one there, but they were thumping down the stairs. So we asked to investigate this. It was owned by the company. It was a training centre. And one night, me, Lisa, and two friends investigated it. And this one, I'm not suggesting it's paranormal at all, but we took a photograph, and just this reflection in the window, which I mean, the flash, the camera flash, we took a lot, and this was the only one which really had that in it. So I don't know what that is. It could be just a reflection of the flash. I can't remember if the lights were on anyway. But I just thought that was quite interesting for this.
So, Dave, what the backstory on this though? Isn't it? There's a story of a woman in white seen or used to
Yeah,
be
I think
seen.
I think it was a white lady. What we heard was someone in hobnail boots thumping down the stairs. So it was obviously probably a resident there, which we kind of came into contact with. But yeah, it was even the security guards wouldn't come across to do their rounds across there. And when I went to pick up the keys, they said, "Are you crazy?" But I mean, Lisa can tell you what she thought of it. It's quite a creepy place, to be honest, when you're in there by yourselves. We heard Lisa heard a jewelry box. In fact, Lisa was sitting opposite here by herself. That's where we placed Lisa, just to see if there was any, if she was going to attract any white lady or anything like that. And I
Yeah,
was, because all of us stood up. We each had a corner of the house. So I was quite brave of, obviously, of the new investigators.
and not to diminish from the photograph, but I'm just really saddened that the thought of this place being torn down. Though it looks
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah, it was a beautiful location. I think it was listed as well, and it had like even the grounds had like it was designed like a little mini castle, so it had kind of a crenellated wall that joined on with the kind of a little tower and like a little things. It was really nice.
So, why did they tear it down?
Uh, Not sure, not sure.
Wow.
That was a company decision.
Yeah, that's a really I'm sad now. I mean, crap, but
These are some of the only photographs that I've ever seen. There is only one photograph of it online, and that's a view from above. And it's surrounded by woods. I mean, it's a beautiful location. It had big old stone gateways, but it was really haunted. I mean, people used to hear things at night if they were cutting because there was a path cutting through. But the security guards refused to visit there after a while. So we went in to investigate it.
yeah, that just makes me really actually very sad. So,
There's lots of places like that, Cordell, over here. I mean, what seems to happen is, companies kind of, I'm not saying that happened here, but by the way, just for the record, but companies kind of take on assets, and rather than pay the upkeep and maintain the listing. Okay, well, Bob, maybe there was a wind farm there now, then, but maybe that land was prime real estate. So rather than the upkeep, what they do is they seem to let it decay, and then on the grounds of safety. And I think that's the only reason they can pull these things down.
so they basically let it deteriorate to the point
I,
that they can get it condemned.
that's generalizing. I mean, I'm not saying that this is for this specific instance, but that's
Well,
what sometimes happens.
either way, it really sucks, right? Okay,
Brilliant,
so here's another type of photo. This is a photo that Dave took because I was with him when he took it,
right?
at a location, and so I got two photographs, and these on the surface might be easily explained, but and I say but because Well, we'll talk about him. So I'm going to go ahead and show this. Oh, what is Bob saying here? Okay. Well, I can't comment on that, Bob, because I don't know the Duke, but thank you for the info. All right, so here we go, and Dave will recognize this as soon as it comes up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, Dave, we can't mention the location. We'll just call it EH. Do you want to explain this photo?
Yeah, we took oh one of the it just you might have to chip in from memory. Did one of the investigators not claim the felt they were touched or something, or and we took a couple of photographs in quick succession, and one of them had this kind of shadowy effect on it, and I think the others didn't. And you might be able to remember. I remember the location. I remember the time, but I just can't remember why we took this. There was a reason why we
Well,
took.
yeah, and this was in the basement, and it was the furthest back room. And in that general area, in this room and right outside of this room, I even heard it. Carrie heard disembodied voices, heard a female saying
Yeah,
several words. I did. Several investigators, you're absolutely right. Some reported actually, like, I can't remember if it was their jacket or hair being pulled. Um, you were snapping a series of photos. The next investigation, we were down there probably for 30 minutes, Dave, and you were taking a bunch, and we tried all kinds of objects in front of the lens. We tried different positioning of fingers and stuff, and we tried to debunk it. And the problem is, this is one of those photos that any professional photographer or even amateur photographer will say, oh, you had a piece of hair in front of the lens, your finger, you didn't realize it, but your finger was just barely, penetrating the field of view, and that's why this showed up. Now, this is what's interesting in the paranormal, and this is why I do find a photo like this interesting, Dave, is we do see this a lot where investigators and even ourselves will see like a black mass, or a section of the room will just all of a sudden get just just incredibly dark, beyond dark, and it lasts for a second or two, or a black shadow or a mist that's black. That's why I think these photos are kind of fascinating, but they have a lot of stigma to it because it's easily shunned off, or just by other people going, well, it's just you had something in front of the lens and didn't realize it, a strap, whatever. What's your opinion, Dave?
well, it certainly wasn't my hair. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I'm not suggesting we're professional photographers, but we do look for things like that. We would never show anything where we thought we might have had a finger in the lens and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting one. I mean, I just browsing through the photographs, never really considered it. But I think we were going through it, and you had a look, I think, and but yeah, I had never really found. I just thought it was just an anomaly, like maybe it's the flash reflected back on itself or something. I don't know. But yeah, it does look interesting in hindsight.
Well, and so I did, actually this morning I just did this. I put some filters on it just for a differing view or a contrast. Um, so
Oh,
yeah, that looks different, doesn't it?
tell us what.
Um, well, it shows you that
It's
it's
like little,
not it's not like
like a finger
uh
shape.
well, it's not uniform.
Yeah.
which is what I do find interesting. Now, I want everybody to realize too is that again, Carrie, me, or Dave, you're not gonna find us going, "Oh, this is paranormal. Look at this great, it's a black mass," and we're not gonna say that. And again, I would label this as an anomaly and unknown, and it could be some natural occurrence that we're not aware of, and there's always that possibility, Dave, that something got in front of the lens. Now, here's another filter I put on it, and I do find it interesting because it's not uniform. Now, having said that it's
And
not
it's certainly not
uniform.
my hair.
No, it's not your hair. And I don't remember, but I don't think your camera even had a strap on it.
No,
And
no, my camera's
uh,
doing the straps
and
for that
like I
reason.
said, we tried to debunk this with Dave's finger and stuff and multiple different angles with and different actually using different fingers on your hand, and they all came out straight.
Yeah, like kind of finger shaped. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they all came out. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but they came out curved or symmetrical. This is what I find interesting about this photo. You can
It's
see
interesting
that,
that color. I've never seen it filtered like that before. That's interesting.
yeah, and I find it very interesting. I part of
And
me
to
does.
think that we were down there with that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, multiple, yeah. But like I said, the reason Dave was taking all these photos is because everybody from Carrie on and other investigators, including myself, had had experiences in this area, and there seemed to be a female voice, seemed to be some form of touching going on. Um, that
Actually,
multiple
Coyle, I
people.
think that's Bob's underpants on the right there. I think he left it in that much of a hurry. I think he
Uh,
left
right
pants.
here. Bob, they're probably still there. As next time you come over to the States, you can claim those. Uh, yeah,
And
it's
it's
go
fair to
ahead.
say those stairs go absolutely nowhere, so it's a bit of a false alarm if you think you can run away.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed it out because these stairs actually don't go anywhere. It's like the
Yeah,
Winchester House. Yeah, it's like the Winchester House. These stairs absolutely go nowhere.
stop dead. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I do find it interesting when I applied the filters on these. And I did this years ago, and I didn't have time to look up all my what I did to this photo years ago. But so this morning I just quickly applied a couple filters on it, lightened it up, and applied it. But you can see that there's definitely a solid mass weather, and but
It
it's
looks like it's got little tendrils coming off it, doesn't it? Ugh,
yeah,
looks interesting.
it, yeah, and that's why I've always found this. Oh, here's Bob's comment to the underwear. Yep, there there he is. But I do find it interesting because it isn't uniform. Again, we did try using the camera didn't have a strap. As you can see, Dave has no real hair to speak of anywhere. He's pretty
By
much
choice. By choice.
well, he shaves his whole body just to let the audience know he shaves his whole body. Yeah, it's a thing over in the UK. Most men do shave their bodies over there. So anyway, no, yeah. But no, I honestly, all joking aside, this is interesting because it isn't uniform, and yeah, we couldn't get it to show up right now. Again, Dave, I want your opinion, but because we can't get it doesn't mean that it isn't something natural, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't repeatable. There was a photograph in that series straight after it, which was clear. We tried to replicate it with different, you know, bits of coat, fingers, things like that. Yeah, we couldn't replicate it, so
and
it's
and
chalk up one down to an unknown.
And Dave, always remember this is a family show, so don't tell them everything you tried to put in front of the lens, okay? So just keep
We
it
tried
like
everything.
yeah, Dave tried everything, guys. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, that might be Dave's underwear there, now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, but I find that a fascinating photo,
Yeah.
and obviously I'm biased. I do have a natural bias because it was a Pulse team that took the photo.
Well, you were there, weren't you? So
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
standing, obviously standing behind us because you were
yeah,
trying to run to the door.
and yeah, I was there, and I've taken dozens of photos in the same area. Carrie took I don't know how many photos in the same area, and like you said, you've taken dozens, and it's the only photo that has anything in it. Is it paranormal? Again, all we can do is label it an unknown. We don't know. It's definitely an anomaly, something out of the ordinary that we couldn't fully debunk. Now, on that same theme, Dave, is there anything last thing you want to say about that one?
No. It was just a creepy location.
So now another paranormal pulse photo. Let me see if I can get to it here. Same type of thing. I took the photo this time, and I have a couple different ones. And so again, in of itself, Dave, this doesn't really like stand out. You can see this side here is all of a sudden really dark, and you can see the date. Now, unfortunately, the camera doesn't go into seconds. It only does minutes as far as the timestamp. I'm being transparent as much as possible here. So I just want you to be aware of that. So what do you think? Do you think anything strange here in this photo?
Yeah, I mean, just a bit of oh,
What?
no, just Bob.
What is Bob saying now?
I think I'm going to say, "Where's the thong?" I think
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It could be warns of a thong or something. Yeah, warns people. I don't know. Go ahead.
yeah, top right, crikey, top left corner. You know, a bit of shadow, a bit of shading, similar to the previous one.
Um,
Um,
yeah. Now here's the next photo taken. I don't know. I want to say about 4 seconds later, 5 seconds, something like that. For maybe 3 seconds. So these are in sequence, and so here's the next photo right
hmm,
here, and you can see the time is the same. Again, because I'm being transparent here, this camera does not track seconds; it only goes down to minutes. So this was taken like 3 seconds later, and all I did, and let me go back to this one. So I was pointing here.
yeah, you just turned slightly. Yeah.
I turned slightly, took another photo, and this is so I just want so people understand. So this pillar in this corner right here is right here. So I think I stepped forward and turned and took another photo, and you can just see that it's all blackened out. Now, since and Dave, you weren't on this particular investigation. It was me and Carrie and a couple other investigators. So what do you think so far? Yay, nay, thumbs up, thumbs down?
Have you applied a filter to it? Have you tried applying a filter in a similar way?
Uh, I have a filter to show. I think I
Okay,
have.
sorry. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it could be, you know, sometimes you take photographs and the flash just doesn't go off right. Things like that. I mean, it is a dark up there, but yeah, I mean, it's a similar photograph to the one in the basement. You know, where you got this kind of this blackness. Not so much coming in because it is dark. It's more you're illuminating less by the flash, aren't you?
Yeah, and I want to point out something important you said, Dave, is you can have weird glitches with Flash, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so this next this okay, so here's a filter, not an aggressive filter or anything, and I can't remember what filter it was, but so it's lightened up a little bit, and the colors did a color correction on it, and um, it doesn't. Now this is interesting because it's nothing like the photo you took, right?
Yeah. But
And
it's interesting,
then oh, go
because
ahead.
that location, I mean, that's where you felt somebody coming up behind you and did that Michael Jackson dance, exactly in that location.
Hey,
And,
Dave.
and
Dave,
well,
I want you to know Michael Jackson stole that dance from me.
yeah,
You
exactly.
didn't know. Yeah, go
And
ahead.
then that's where you saw that kind of suit kind of walking in to the left there, so that
And
location, it's odd that that location has been a high activity location next to that room.
yeah, and
Could be
that's
coincidence. Could be coincidence.
well, no, and I'm glad you're pointing that out because a lot of investigators have had experiences up in this corner right here. Yes, I did
Hmm.
see an apparition that started right here and moved down this hallway up here. Female investigators, if you talk to Carrie and Jane and some other
And
ones,
Bob, yeah.
well, I'll let you throw Bob in. Um, that a lot of
I,
stuff happened to them up here. Now, real quick,
actually,
when go
sorry,
ahead.
Khalil. Actually, in that room there, that's when Bob got possessed by Derek Akora. Um, and he actually, I mean, yeah, that was when we found him stand against the wall, and he had gone into a bit of a trance.
Okay. I'm showing the chat. I always for those that have never seen our broadcast, I always try to post the chat on screen. I try not to leave anybody out, but I get busy and if I miss you,
Yeah,
I apologize.
and I think it is just it's good humor as well because Bob's a fellow investigator in that location, and he obviously knows that when you're in that area, it is pretty, it is a quite an interesting area with a lot of activity.
So here's the one thing I wanted to show you, Dave. So here's this photo. These were all taken seconds apart. Not these are filtered to that photo. These are just filtered of the same. So right here, this one was literally taken like 3, 4 seconds later. And you can see the angle, and I didn't really move. You can see a slight movement of the camera. And you'll see it. See if I go here, the cameras, but there's very little movement. If you look at this this board here, I just want to point that out. You see, so keep your eyes focused right here in the center. There's just a little bit, it's about that much difference. So this was taken in sequence. There is no black shadow. Now, having said that, could this just be a case of where maybe I had something in front of the lens and didn't realize it all in a 12-second period?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen that with our eyes. And Lisa's mentioned it there. Like the darkness is spread out. We have had a couple of instances in that area where the whole place goes dark. Bob's the eye candy of the is that team?
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
oh, there it's
oh,
not showing up.
but yeah, so we have seen that with our eyes, that darkness, which is interesting because it feels completely and utterly, um, uh, well, it feels completely and utterly nasty.
Sorry. This is what I think's interesting. Could I have had a finger. Now, I did the same thing. I went the next time we went there,
Yeah.
I tried to debunk it. I put my finger. The camera does have a strap on it. I put that in front of the lens. I do apologize that I don't have those available for this broadcast, but I tried to debunk it. It didn't quite look the same. The interesting part was when I did my finger or strap or things like that, there was a whole section. Well, let me go back one. I'll show you what I mean. See, like right here, you can still see the railing. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, guys, but you can still see the railing.
Yeah, it's as if the darkness is behind it, isn't it?
Yeah, and when I tried to debunk it, this whole section or this whole corner was completely black, showing no detail behind it. Didn't show any woodwork. It was completely wiped out and gone. Now that still doesn't say this is paranormal, but I think it's interesting because I can actually, you can see all the railings here, all the
Mm,
woodwork. Let me go back one. I don't know if you can probably see it maybe better. Well, not
yeah.
really. Um, so, um, and believe it or not, Dave, we're kind of like out of time. It's
Really?
already, but
Oh,
yeah, it's already been over an hour and a half already.
yeah. We've got the best to come, haven't we?
Yeah. And so what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to have part two of this, and hopefully Carrie can get on and we'll do a part two. And we've saved some of the better ones just for
Yeah. Well,
anticipation. And so we have some a lot better ones, and we have some
yeah.
other ones that
Do you think it's worth quickly showing them just a tease into part two?
well, I don't think we should. I don't think we
All
should.
right. You're right.
I
Okay.
think we need to save these. One of them here.
Space Age
Okay,
Traveler.
okay. There's two that we're going to show next Sunday, and here's my description of both of them. One is one of the scariest photos I've ever seen. The creepiest, I think it's the scariest slash creepiest thing I've ever seen in a photo. And I know the photo's real. I'll just say that. It hasn't been tampered with. Then the other photo is the most bizarre friggin' thing I've ever seen in my life. I have no idea what it is. I've never seen anything like it. I'm at a total loss of what it is. There's two descriptions of two photos we'll show next Sunday. What do you want to say anything about those, Dave?
No, I think the first photograph here on about was in the house that we lived in. And that's something in the doorway which when you and hadn't even that was just one of a collection of photographs, and it was only really looking through it that we identified and thought, what the hell is that? And there is something in the doorway which is really, really creepy.
Do you want me to show just a brief
Yeah,
thing?
you could do a quick teaser.
You sure?
Yeah, go on. You can just do a quick teaser.
And sorry, Lisa, that's a little late. Lisa was commenting on the last photo, and I'm a little late on these. And
And it's Lisa who took this one as well.
is she okay showing this one?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think yeah.
Okay.
It's a photograph in Fort William, northwest Scotland, in a house we used to live in.
Well, all I'm gonna do though, I'm just gonna show it for a minute. I'm not gonna zoom in. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah,
anything. Uh,
yeah. I haven't shown Lisa it filtered or enhanced.
yes, yes, please.
It's it when you see the face enhanced, it looks absolutely hideous. And we heard blooming like banshee screams and all sorts in that house. It can only be described as a banshee. I mean, if you can imagine what it once would sound like, that was what we heard.
So, yeah, and like I said, we have a bunch of other photos. Carrie's taking photos. I have Dave, and so
Yeah.
we'll do a part 2 next week and try to break some of these down. And I think, Dave, what we need, and maybe Carrie and you and me can come up with a couple of maybe one famous fake photo that's been out
Yeah.
on the internet that people might think are real or whatever, just to throw them into the mix to discuss them. And maybe not, fake's the wrong word. Maybe misunderstood photo, it's mislabeled. It isn't really maybe paranormal or potentially. So anyway, just a little teaser for next week. We'll go over this one. Um, and I will show it full screen real quick. And I'm not going to zoom in. If you look in I'll just say, if you look back here, there is something in the doorway. And that's it. That's the teaser. That's all I'm going to show.
The I
And
think
I
the
want,
one which I think the one which you took next to the car was is absolutely crazy photograph. Absolutely crazy as well.
well, like I said, Dave, it's the most weird, bizarre. I just shake my head. I don't know what the hell it is. And if it's a camera glitch, it's maybe one of the all-time greatest camera glitches because it is so bizarre. And it does have a body, it has a head.
It's,
Um,
yeah, that I mean, and it's got a backstory to it.
it
Because you
does.
saw Tia whistling from the corner of the garage.
It does.
Uh,
And what's weird is it seems to be kind of facing the house. It's not facing towards me when I took the photo.
yeah, it's like it is. It's like if if we are in a simulation, this is definitely one of the games masters. That's all I can
One of
see.
the admins, one of the
Yeah,
admins
it's
stuck
somebody
in.
hiding out in the ultraviolet there or something like that. Just man.
Yeah. And I know I keep talking, but I talk about it all the time because it's the weirdest friggin' photo. Um, I have no explanation for it. I've had people that are 100% skeptics look at it. They have no idea. I like to fantasize about it, Dave's thinking maybe we caught a four-dimensional creature,
Mm.
and because all our devices and this, we live in a three-dimensional, um, and that's all we can perceive, and cameras and blah blah blah. So maybe we caught something that's four-dimensional higher, and that's why it looks so weird because we're only capturing three dimensions of a four-dimensional creature. So anyway,
Actually, Corel, have you got a picture of that old man we got at Pioneers Village?
I
Um,
don't have that ready. I
oh, you
don't.
haven't got it ready? Okay.
Yeah. You're not talking about Bob, are you?
Yeah, I was gonna. That's one we'll show next week.
Oh, you know what? Should we leave that? Should we show that now?
Yeah, why not? It's a
Oh,
picture we took of an old man holding some ice creams. I'm not sure who it was.
yeah,
It
it's
looked
kind of
kind of
weird.
sadness.
Let me see if I can find it here. I think I have it ready. If I don't, we'll show it next week. Anticipation. Uh oh, you know what? I don't think I have it ready, Dave.
Okay, but next week it is.
Yeah, I don't. We'll have to look at it next week. So anticipation. Uh anyway, so it's been a great broadcast. I feel bad that Carrie never got back on. Hopefully she'll be on next week. What does Bob have to say?
Yeah.
In Fart William is Fart William actual town in Scotland?
You know what? And the A is nowhere near the O. You know.
Uh, anyway,
Hey man.
thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. That is interesting. Um, and I love the backstories. And Bob and Lisa, when we show that photo and show it a little more detail, sorry, I just hit my mic. I'd love to hear the stories because the stories are really what brings the photograph to life. If you just look at a photo, there's no context to it. And especially anything in the paranormal, Dave, it's critical that there's context. That's why, we share all our data, all our evidence, and I could care less if somebody steals it or calls it their own because they have
Yeah.
no context. For one, yeah, and they have no context. We have the original files, we have the context. It's like these photos. Anybody takes them, yeah, I don't care. There's no context to them, and that's what brings a photo to life. Anyway, there's my little speech on that. Bob needs a show of his. Yeah, Bob does need a. That's a good idea. Maybe. Um, oops, fort. So you didn't mean to say fart, Williams? Excuse me. Anyway, we got to hit the road. Appreciate it. And I feel bad that Carrie didn't get back on. I don't know if she was having issues or what. Tried to get her back on, but she'll be here Sunday. At least she better be. And we'll go over those. And so, Dave, I hope you enjoyed it. Any last thoughts on this subject?
Oh, like we said, photographs are very difficult to believe, and very difficult to kind of say this is proof. I think the only ones that I kind of think are interesting really are ones that I know that I've taken, because you just don't know really the motives behind some people. You assume the worst sometimes. Um, but yeah, I mean, we have had some interesting video footage. We have had some interesting photographs taken, but even photographs can deceive you, because you are, just to bear in mind, you have got biases. You are there to find something, and therefore you could see a ghost in a shadow or something like that, So you've got to be careful, and you should really always apply a skeptical mind to everything that you do, especially on investigations.
No, I agree 100%. And photos can fool you. Photos, it, because the problem is you can't look at the time before and the time after reflections and metal and mirrors and plastic, and you get all kinds of reflections. Anything that goes really close to the lens um, can show up as something. And so yeah, photos are really difficult, but I love them. I take tons of photos, and I'm always hoping something shows up, even though deep down I know I'm never gonna be able to take a photo, guys, and go, see, I told you the paranormal was real. I'm never gonna be able to do that with a photo ever, never ever. So, but I do find them fascinating. Part two next week, guys. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we also, if you can ask to be notified, so when we upload anything or go about to go live, you can be notified. Please do that. And other than that, Dave, I want to thank everybody, Lisa and Bob in the chat, and whoever watches this. Thank you. I have a great time doing this. Dave, what do you have to say? And we'll both say goodnight.
No, hey, thanks everybody, and thanks Bob, thanks Lisa, and we'll see everybody sooner.
Yep, we'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place, part two of photos. And
Okay,
go ahead.
okay. I was just going to say, Corel, you take care of yourself, okay, bud?
Yep. And here's to Carrie. Get feeling better.
Yeah.
Sorry you weren't able to stay on. I don't know what happened. Anyway, take care, guys. Yep. See you, Bob. Uh, and anyway, everybody be safe. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye.
See everybody. Bye.